The issues and dissatisfactions that led to the American Revolution. French-Indian War. Great Britain's desire to remain a world power resulted in a series of events and declarations that caused growing dissatisfaction in the American colonies. It all started with the French and Indian War in 1754. The British fought 7 years over territory in the Ohio Valley with the French. In the end, the British won and drove out all the French settlements. This, however, came at a price. The British government was feeling the loss of so much money spent on soldiers' uniforms, ammunition, food, housing, just to name a few. King George III of England, along with British Parliament, came up with a plan to make the colonies pay for some of the expense of war. He reasoned that it was the colonies that benefited anyway. I guess they forgot about all that wanting to keep world power thing. What do you think? After the war, the Proclamation of 1763 was passed. It was designed to keep the relations between the British government and the Indian tribes as peaceful as they could after so much war. In it is blocked off much land west of the colonies in the Ohio River Valley and land from the Ohio River to the Mississippi River. Colonists did not like it one bit. The land west of the colonies in the Ohio Valley was good, and many colonists desired and had planned to move and settle there. Most colonists felt it was just more rules and control on them. Did you ever feel that way? The first tax came soon after the Proclamation of 1763. It was the Sugar Act. It enforced a tax on sugar and molasses. It actually already existed, but everyone just ignored it up until then. The British government started collecting and not letting anyone slide anymore. It was too soon after the Proclamation of 1773, and it annoyed more colonists than even before. In 1765, the Stamp Act was passed. It required colonists to purchase stamps to stick on paper documents, licenses, and goods. The reason was to shift the cost of the long French and Indian War from Great Britain to the colonies. King George found this to be an excellent solution. The colonists did not, and dissatisfaction grew. A group of merchants and artisans gathered in protest of these taxes, and many laborers and tradesmen soon joined in also to form a group of rebellious colonists who called themselves the Sons of Liberty. The group grew quickly. Just 1 year later, in 1766, another tax was decreed, the Townshend Act. This taxed items like glass, paper, lead, and paint. These were all things the colonists used frequently. The colonists already felt their money was stretched from the Stamp Act. It became too much for some colonists. British soldiers had to be sent to Boston to stop people from revolting. Dissatisfaction turned to anger in some colonists. The Boston colonists did not like the British soldiers there policing them. On March 5th, 1770, 4 years after the Townshend Act and 5 years after the Stamp Act, a fed-up mob gathered and threw rocks and snowballs at British troops guarding a warehouse of goods. The British soldiers fought back by shooting their guns. 4 people died that day. It was a sad day for many people, both colonists and the British. After that, a new tea tax came, and the Sons of Liberty and many colonists were fed up. They'd had it. They hatched a plan. Angry members of Sons of Liberty went onto a ship carrying tea in the Boston harbor and broke it open and dumped it all in the water, ruining the tea and ruining British Parliament's chance to profit from the tea and the tax on it. After the Boston Tea Party, the British Parliament passed a series of acts called the Intolerable Acts. Colonists were beginning to go from anger to talks of war.